Today on Wildlife Nation Expedition Florida, we set sail to the only coral reefs in North America.
We are potentially the last generation to see wild coral.
Then, in Key Largo, we encounter one of the rarest rodents in the world.
It is absolutely adorable.
And later, we join the Miccosukee tribe on their mission to restore sacred island hammocks.
We have 70% loss of tree islands in the Everglades.
I'm Jeff Corwin. Wildlife Nation is dedicated to conserving the natural wonders of North America. And now, we're teaming up with the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida to safeguard the vibrant wilderness of the Sunshine State. We'll explore this region's diverse landscapes and extraordinary creatures as we work alongside the passionate conservationists dedicated to protecting them. This is Wildlife Nation Expedition Florida. Florida is home to the only coral reef in the continental United States. Factors like pollution, along with climate change, have destroyed more than 90% of this vital coral reef. Fortunately, scientists at Mote Marine Laboratory are working urgently to turn the tide.
I'm with Celia, she's a marine biologist. I'm with my friend Heidi Cypress, a member of the tribe. Now, Heidi, your passion is politics. What made you want to connect with this story?
I really want to be able to understand the way I could effectively advocate for my tribe and our environment out there. We do believe that all waterways are connected.
Celia, the coral reefs are in trouble today. Why?
The biggest thing is just human influence. Like you said, everything is connected, and with human populations living so close to these coral reefs, sewage runoff, fertilizer runoff, we also have increased levels of carbon entering our ocean, and anything that happens can affect our coral reefs.
70% of every saltwater fish species in some way has a connection to a coral reef.
The whole purpose of our lab is to produce new coral babies to be used for coral restoration.
In Celia's lab, ultraviolet light and high-powered microscopes give us a unique, one-of-a-kind look at one of these coral babies that have been grown here. To observe, we slip on safety glasses to protect our eyes from the high-powered light.
Right here is the mouth of the coral, and then you have their fluorescent tissue as well as the red algae that lives in their tissue. And when I zoom in a little bit closer, you can actually see the detail in the individual cells a lot more. So that's his mouth. You can see these tentacles right here are able to sting and paralyze microscopic prey.
So how old would this particular coral be?
Yeah, so this coral is about 7 months old, and eventually it will start to grow new polyps out of the side. And you can see that process is actually happening on the side here where these little green specks are.
It's budding.
It is. It's growing out radially, and you can see that's a brand new mouth right there. That is just forming, and eventually it will develop tentacles and all the other features that you saw on that primary or the first polyp that developed.
To cultivate these corals, Celia and her team recreate precise conditions of a natural spawning event. Since corals typically spawn at night, they use red light, since corals can't detect it.
We're about to observe corals reproduce. So they are broadcast spawners, and what we do on site is we allow them to go through that process in a controlled environment in our laboratory. We're going to collect them and put them in these tubes, and then we know who each of the parents are, and then we're going to cross them together and make coral babies later. So what we're about to see is those corals are about to set, so they're going to release their gamete bundles soon, and when they float up to the top, we're going to collect them into our tubes. So, yeah, just be really gentle and grab it, and then gently put it into your tube.
So Celia, can you please explain why we are doing this in a lab rather than doing it outside where their natural home is?
Yeah, so we're actually seeing a near complete failure of natural reproduction in the wild. So that's why we as scientists have to step in and make sure that this process is still occurring in a controlled environment.
We are actually potentially the last generation to see wild corals off of Florida.
Celia focuses on breeding new coral, Jason's using a different method to rapidly grow existing coral.
So we're going to use a process called microfragmentation. So traditionally, coral restoration has relied on relatively large fragments, but they grow slow, and now we're talking about geologic time before we get to reproductive.
Beyond the human lifespan.
Absolutely. And so now we take and separate those colonies into very, very small pieces, microfragments, and the growth rate increases by 40 to 50 times.
The other part is what we're about to do now, and we're going to head out there with the Mote Marine Laboratory team and actually start building these coral reefs.
I'm off the Florida Keys with scientists from the Mote Marine Laboratory. They cultivate corals adapted to survive rapidly changing ocean conditions. The last step is to actually outplant these corals onto the reef. So Jason and his team take me out to show me how it's done. First up, staghorn. We drive the masonry nails into the reef in clusters of 5. Each nail anchors a genetically identical fragment, clones of the same coral arrangements just inches apart. Using zip ties, we fasten each coral to one of the nails. Over time, the branches will grow, touching and fusing together, forming one large, incredibly reproductively active colony. This incredibly productive technique is much faster than letting a single coral grow on its own. Nearby, we're planting brain coral and star coral grown in the lab and attached to small ceramic plugs. We mix the very special underwater epoxy, then glue the corals to the reef in tight clusters, just like the staghorn. 10 genetically identical fragments per group. Remarkably, these corals can grow up to 50 times faster than they would normally on their own in the wild. Colonies that once took many decades, even up to a century, can now form in just 3 to 5 years. Every coral has a genetic tag, a code that tells the scientists exactly what it is and where it came from. That helps the Mote Marine Conservation team track survival and growth over time, especially when they use underwater mapping tools and photography.
It's a good feeling to be down there with the Mote Marine team helping to restore this coral reef. It's not just about aesthetics. It's not just because we care about nature. We're investing in the future of corals because when we do that, we're investing in our own survival.
Coming up, we find a rodent in Key Largo that is quite an architect.
Here's a nest.
Oh, wow.
Today, I'm in Key Largo at Crocodile Lake National Wildlife Refuge. This refuge was established to protect the breeding and nesting habitat of the threatened American crocodile, but it is also home to one of the rarest rodents in North America.
Well, my friends, welcome to the jungle. When you think of the Florida Keys, what probably does not come to your mind is this entangled web of life. And it's really critical to Mike Cove's research work. And what are we going to be looking for today?
So we are going to be trapping rodents. The Key Largo woodrat, the federally endangered species that this whole upland hammock forest protects. So this is really one of the only places you could see this type of forest in the United States.
And in fact, a lot of the areas where we'll be exploring today were on the chopping block for development. Thankfully, they've been recovered. But this is the last of the habitat. There's no more left.
Crocodile Lake's Protected natural areas are closed to the public to protect animals like the imperiled woodrat and their very unusual stick nests.
Here's a nest.
Oh, wow.
The interior is full of sticks in different chambers of their nest. So they have a little cache, they have a little latrine, they have a place where they sleep, and then they just keep piling on because it's a subtropical environment. So all of the wood breaks down, right? So they have to constantly keep adding. The females build these giant elaborate nests, and they're multi-generational. When the mother dies, one of her female offspring from kind of like smaller satellite nests will move into that big nest and continue building it.
This is a multi-generational nest. It's used from one generation to the next.
Right. What we should do is we should set probably 5 traps kind of flanking it.
Okay.
They don't require anything fancy in there. We're just gonna do oatmeal and peanut butter. Just throw some in the bottom. Yep.
We set traps and continue on. Soon we find another nest.
So this actually looks like a good spot where we could take a microbial swab.
A swab?
Yeah.
So you're actually gonna sample something from the nest.
What we've learned so far about the wood rats is that they have unique microbial communities inside the nest. Some of the bacterial families that are in there have antibiotic producing properties.
That's amazing.
But some of the bacteria we've characterized are just novel bacteria.
Totally new to science.
Yeah, and so potentially there's a next antibiotic for human medicine.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We place our traps and leave them to set overnight. As the forest darkens, Mike's trail cameras capture the woodrat, rebuilding its stick fortress. As day finally breaks, it is now time to check to see if our work has paid off.
We can just tell if they've been set, Mike, if the little hatch is closed, right?
Yeah, so those two are on their side. They look like maybe a raccoon messed with them, but they're closed, so if it has any weight to it.
Oh, this one definitely has weight, and there's something scampering.
Coming up, we work up this incredible woodrat.
Look at those eyes.
Oh my gosh, she is so... Oh, that was quick.
Today, we're in Key Largo with my friend, Dr. Mike Cove, a wildlife biologist specializing in the endangered woodrat. We set traps for the secretive rodents overnight, and now we're hoping to have captured one for Mike's critical conservation research.
Yeah, that's definitely a woodrat, I'd say.
Oh my gosh.
All right, perfect. We're gonna have to put some masks and get our PPE, and we'll work this woodrat up.
We do not want to give anything to these wood rats because they are endangered. I'm going to be super anthropomorphic here. It is absolutely adorable.
This is a giant mouse, is what you're seeing. Calling this a rat really did them a disservice, because that's really a misnomer, because rats and wood rats are not closely related. They're not even in the same family. Calling this a rat is akin to calling a hyena a tiger. That's how distantly related they are.
That is so cool. So you want to transfer it?
Yes.
You got her.
Now look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Let's weigh her. So this is 240 with the bag. So she's a decent-sized female. Presumably she'll be breeding here in this coming season.
How old would she be?
Like 6 to 8 months. We'll be able to give it an individual ear tag. Yep. And
Like
pinch, and let go.
Look at that.
923. Take a little bit of tissue for DNA.
Teeny tiny.
See that? That's
Yeah.
all you need for the DNA. So we have a little pit tag here.
You do it right under the skin?
So it goes right under the skin, in between the shoulder blades, just like a dog or cat, in and out.
Now, this amazing wood rat has its microchip, so for the rest of her life, she'll be a part of this amazing study.
I think she's about ready to go.
Okay.
I bet she'll go right back to her little stick nest here. Look at those eyes.
Oh my gosh, she is so... Oh! That was quick.
Coming up, we help restore the tree islands of the River of Grass.
They hold a lot of native plants that we won't see anywhere else in the Everglades.
Today, I'm with Miccosukee Fish and Wildlife on our way to do important environmental conservation work via swamp buggy.
It is a beautiful blue ribbon day here in the Everglades. Temperature is just lovely, it's dry, it's breezy, and it is the dry season, which means the Miccosukee Fish and Wildlife are gonna take advantage of this current environmental condition to do some habitat restoration, which is where Melanie comes in. She is the tribal botanist. What's our mission today?
So our mission today is we're gonna be filling in some gaps in the tree islands where we've had some canopy death.
Sacred tree islands, also known as hammocks, are clumps of hardwood trees that rise above the Everglades. In the wet season, they're like traditional islands surrounded by water. But in the dry season, like now, they float on a sea of grass. Historically, the Miccosukee Territory extended from the Appalachian Mountains all the way down to the Florida Keys. But as European settlement intensified from the 16th century onward, they were gradually pushed out. And by the 1800s, the Everglades became their last refuge.
I was born in 1957 out on an island called Yanchehe, means high island.
Just one generation before him, Mr. Frank's family were still hiding themselves from the outside world.
Back in the 20s, where my people were still afraid of planes going by. When you hear a plane, when the sun goes down, put the fire out.
That's why preserving and protecting these unique island hammocks is such an important mission to the Miccosukee tribe.
We have 70% loss of tree islands in the Everglades. So we're trying to help the remaining tree islands that are on our lands to continue to flourish.
As they disappear, so do their functions. They serve a lot of different purposes. They hold a lot of native, biodiverse plants that we won't see anywhere else in the Everglades.
We arrive to a very special tree island, unload our native plants grown in the Miccosukee greenhouse, and get to work.
Welcome to your classical South Florida hammock. And immediately when you come inside, you can see it's a very different type of place compared to the expansion of the sea of grass, which is mostly sawgrass and a few other types of plants. What is happening with tree islands today?
So there's a couple of different threats. The main one is water levels. The water levels have been too high due to poor water management. We also have threats of invasive species that will completely shade out all of the understory and biodiversity that we want here.
So to make these tree islands more resilient, we need to increase the plant biodiversity, which means we're introducing new plants. So what are we gonna put right here?
We're gonna do a gumbo limbo here because we have a nice open area in the canopy. You can see straight through to the sky.
Very rooty. You can see why they call this the root mat. So you can see that dense layer of roots that holds the soil in. It prevents erosion.
And the dead foliage from the canopy also helps create that soil.
Exactly.
So as long as the canopy is healthy, the tree islands can expand over time. But with the water intake, eventually, if it goes on long enough, it's just gonna be sawgrass.
What do you think? Good?
I think it looks great.
All right, awesome job.
Good job.
One gumbo limbo, ready to go. Let's check on the guys. What you working on, Greg?
I'm about to plant this soapberry.
Soapberry.
Yes, sir.
A big focus for you is on the invasive species.
Yes, sir.
What has been the impact of invasive species on the Everglades?
The Lygodium, it will take over an entire canopy of a tree island.
Basically chokes out and outcompetes the native
does.
plants.
And the Brazilian pepper, it will actually put out a toxin in the soil to prevent other plants from growing, so it takes over entire ecosystems.
Brazilian pepper bush is a big, big problem in South Florida.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, Hector?
Hey, Jeff. It's been good.
So what are you planting right here?
This is called sandleaf. This tree is very important not only for my culture, but for animals In this environment, it drops a lot of fruit. It's very nutritious.
Very important to the diversity of these tree islands. You want to plant it right here?
Yes. Living out here, Native Americans have been here for thousands and thousands of years, so what happens in the environment will ultimately affect us. Not only that, but the people of Florida. And the people of Florida should get inspiration and learn from the Miccosukee. Not only how the environment worked, but how it was back then.
People ask me all the time, where is the sacred place? The whole Everglades, the trees, the birds, the animals, it's sacred to us.